Tonight, it's my great honor to be joined with one of my crypto viewing, future forecast viewing, remote viewing, hellfire viewing pals, Nyiam. Nyiam, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. Doing great. How you doing?
Really good, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. I've been wanting to connect with you in this capacity for quite some time to have just a general RV chat. What's new and exciting in your world?
Just came back from London, UK.
Yes. Yeah.
Finally got to meet some remote viewers. Like I live in Toronto, just outside of Toronto in Canada, and I've never met up until recently. I never met another real life remote viewer. You know what I mean? So I've just been
Yeah.
doing this online and stuff like that. So I got to meet Daz Smith and Tunde Atenrays and a bunch of other people from the Discord, remote viewing Discord and stuff like that. And yeah, it was
Yeah.
a great experience. Inspirational. Got to see what other people are doing, even in terms of like business wise, like what kind of
Hmm.
businesses people have related to intuition and remote viewing. And it just really kind of put into scope, how serious the future of intuition, that subject of the subconscious mind really is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something that is still to really be tapped into. It's kind of niche, but I think it's going to grow a lot in the near future.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, there's always a need for it, but now we're finally in a time where it's accepted by more and more people. It's not considered weird or fringe or impossible anymore. And it's neat to see, just to watch it grow and really to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I saw those pictures. That was really cool to just to connect, like you said, with all those people that we talk to in Zooms and we talk to them online, and to see it. So I'm glad you had that opportunity. It was fun watching you guys online meet up. Well, that's great. I want to talk about. I want to start. I don't want to spend the whole podcast talking about this because I know it's been kind of beaten to death already. But the anomaly, the one that everybody's a buzz about, the event that will change the world. You were a part of that project. Can you comment on, number one, what was your experience when you got the reveal of the target that, you missed the target, but you all brought back that anomalous data? Let's start there. What was your reaction to that?
My initial reaction is like I missed. Well,
Hmm.
it wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I'm very to the book when it comes to remote viewing mostly. Like
Right.
I have no problem saying that something's amiss. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. But I do know that similar things have happened in the past, whether, there's a big event that can pull viewers off,
Hmm.
to perceive certain events. Um, I guess what really made it interesting is that the overlap in some of the data between the viewers. So I didn't have the huge explosions and stuff like that, but I had
Hmm.
data on some kind of legal battle going on, and
Yeah.
Edward Reardon's session had a huge chunk about a legal battle.
Right.
So that kind of made it uh, more interesting to me. You know what I mean? Whereas maybe I would have just seen it as okay, I was off target. To
Right.
okay, maybe there was something happening here, but the overwhelming data from all the other viewers was something
Yeah.
more explosive and um, world changing. And
Yeah.
as with all, future looking at future tasks and events, um, there's always a level of uncertainty and probability. And remote viewing a future is experimental, but
Hmm.
we do it every month with world events. And so, I know that there's something to it. Not every perception is correct, but
Right.
um it works. You know what I mean? You can see,
Yeah.
you can have forewarning of future events using remote viewing. So I mean, it could be related to what's going on right now. I mean, the situation that just that's occurring right now
It's
in
unfolding.
Israel and Gaza. I mean, that's big. That's big stuff, and I don't think it's gonna just die out and not have following events that
Hmm.
lead on from that. So
You
um,
said you said a few things, Naeem, that I'm sorry to interject, but that got me thinking. Number one, talking about future events and seeing things like it works. I mean, I always loved teasing you about like your alligator stories. But that's legit. I mean, that's stuff you can't make up. As silly as that story was, you are pretty specific about what's going to happen within the month. There's the specific story about something so abstract. And, obviously you've predicted the bigger stuff too, the more serious stuff. How do you process that? How does that impact your worldview and your day-to-day functioning when you realize I can see the future and I see some things that are pretty heavy? How do you not focus on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, maybe to some level, I'm a little bit, I don't know if the word is desensitized, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for so long. Like even before I started working with FFG, I was trying to see future events on my YouTube channel,
Right.
and I would see famous people before they pass, or major events before they happen,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it does had a big impact on I guess the seriousness or
Mm-hmm.
the reality of remote perception,
Mm-hmm.
or non-local perception, because most people's concept of it is kind of it's very general and vague. When people
Mm-hmm.
think of psychic functioning or non-local perception, they think of like, oh, I have a bad feeling about this. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's the kind of level they think of it as. But when
Right.
you really get into it and you start doing this, you start to see that no, you can see people, you can get details on events enough to
Mm-hmm.
identify, what they are and things like that.
Right.
So once you realize that level of it, it just really changed the way I function and see the world. Is like our minds are playing a way bigger part.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things that happen in life, I don't want to sound like negative, but certain things are out of our control. You know what I mean? There's a
Right.
higher level of organization, or
Mm-hmm.
something to that degree going on. So I wouldn't say we don't have free will. I think we have free will to a certain degree, but there seems to be, a certain level of predestination or events that
Mm-hmm.
are going to occur. Maybe they've built up a certain amount of momentum,
Right.
and there's nothing you can do to change them at a certain point, or you can't change them fully. Maybe you can slightly change them.
Right.
Um, One example, like the way I think of it is, if remote viewers saw a big event, there's always people saying, "Oh, you should warn everyone, and
Right.
maybe we could change it." Well, I doubt that you'd be able to change the event from happening. Maybe you could
Mm-hmm.
stop a few people from being there, maybe,
Right.
you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it would change for those individuals, but the event overall would probably still occur. So it's a very complicated and
And
nuanced
if you
situation.
changed it, right? If you changed it, then you'd catch all this heat for, oh, you spread all that fear and nothing ever happened, right? So you can't
Exactly.
win either way. I mean, we might change things when we put things out there like that. And
Yeah.
we just don't know based on our current focus and perception.
Yeah. It's like we're just people, we're just
Mm-hmm.
people like anyone else out there. We sit down and we
Right.
we record what we get. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
it doesn't give me any more power or influence over the world to go and make something change at that level. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe on a personal level, you could use remote viewing to make changes in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to that global scale, I mean, I think really
That's a tall order. That's a real tall
exactly.
order.
I think just putting the data out is
Mm-hmm.
the best way to change or open people's minds. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree, and we don't know the consequences of that, but I know there's been some research that's been done, and I think that some people who have these premonitions and act on it, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in a car accident tonight, and they stay home and then they find out there was a major accident on the route they would have traveled or whatever. I mean, that's changing the future, right? If you're seeing this is going to happen, so I do believe that predestiny or not, we do have the ability to change certain events, but I always struggle with where's that line? How much control do I have? How much free will do I have?
Yeah, I agree. And I was recently reading or rereading Ingo Swan's book,
That's what I
Your
was referring to.
Nostradamus Factor. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I have to agree with him. He talks about that the idea of, or the ability that we have to perceive a future event is
Right.
probably linked to survival, being able to
Yeah.
change it. It's probably what it's linked to. And from my own personal experiences, I think that's true. But then again, once again, probably more on a more personal level. You know what I mean? Maybe if the whole
Right.
population was on that level of foreseeing events, maybe we could change it on a bigger scale, right?